The shocking thing was there were attempts at one point. Romans 13 was invoked by the Attorney General and by other representatives of the administration to justify the use of this power by a government. And it just became very clear, as I said over and over again, do not confuse Christianity with cruelty. You cannot do that. And just people of goodwill and decency around the world, and Americans of all stripes and types said, this is not who we are, and we won't stand for it.
How did it make you feel as a Christian, Bishop?
Well, first of all, I wanted to immediately correct and attempted to say, don't bring the Christian scriptures into this, because the Christian scriptures, as with other traditions, call for humanity, Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself, and this didn't look like love. He said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and I can't imagine anybody wanting anyone to do this to their own child. Jesus said, as you treated the stranger, so you have treated me. So for Christian people, for people in the Jewish tradition, in Islam and other religious faiths, hospitality to the stranger is a cardinal virtue. But it's just fundamentally a contradiction to the way of love, to the way of human decency, to the way of justice. We sometimes sing that hymn, America the Beautiful, and the end of that hymn says, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. This does not look like brother or sisterhood from sea to shining sea. And so the truth is, we must find a way in this country, to do what Ronald Reagan spoke about once when he said, America must be a shining city upon a hill. Well, we must be a shining city upon a hill again, bringing light into the world, not darkness.
Do you sense that the United States is in a little more darkness than it was a couple of years ago?
Well, what I do sense is that this particular experience and realization has awakened the better angels of our nature, as Abraham Lincoln said. And I think people are much more aware that we must not sacrifice our values, our ideals as a nation. A nation that has been a light to liberty and freedom and human equality and decency, that we must not compromise those values lest we lose our own soul. And so I think, in one sense, this experience has awakened the good that was there all along, but it's actually called it forth so that it was able to speak.
I'm sure as a Christian you like to see the good in everybody, and Mr. Trump, perhaps as distinct from other presidents, has come in for more stick, as we would say, than perhaps previous administrations. Do you think there's a good soul in there somewhere?
Well, I've learned I don't judge anybody. I'll leave that to God. That's not my business. But what I can say is that many of the policies, and this was an example of the president, often lack humanity, do not serve the issues of justice and fairness and decency in society. Failure to take concern and stay with the rest of the world in terms of climate change and cleaning the environment. This is God's world. God is the creator of it all, and we dare not deface what God has created. And so many of the policies that he has been a part of, I have to oppose on the grounds of love.
You said in the past that you've prayed for President Trump. Do you still do that?
I still do that. Absolutely. That's a duty that the scriptures call on any Christian person. At one point, I was criticized for saying that I will pray for the president. This was soon after he was elected. And I said to many people, I will pray for the president even when I oppose what he or she is doing. Because we must pray for our leaders that they will learn the ways of justice, that they will lead the people and the nation in the ways of justice and truth. And so I'm going to pray for him, but I'm also going to speak and act when I disagree with him.
Do you think America is a more divided country? That seems to be the kind of central allegation that's thrown at Mr. Trump, that he's a divider, not a unifier. Is that fair?
Well, I can say this, that the country is more divided than I have seen it in a long time. It really is. And there have been times when the president has not helped those divisions, but has in fact exacerbated them. Soon after Charlottesville, when there were neo-Nazis marching through the streets of Charlottesville, Virginia, when there were Klansmen, Ku Klux Klansmen marching through the streets, and when that young woman, young Hannah, was killed by one of them, the president seemed to equivocate and never came out clearly and strongly to condemn white supremacy or hatred or bigotry in any form, but seemed to equivocate. That doesn't help to unite a nation. And I hope and pray that he can do better than that, and that he will. But he didn't then, and so I hope he will in the future.